Hello and welcome, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls from around the world. It's Tim. I really appreciate everybody joining me. We're going to go on a little excursion. We're going to walk out into the wilderness. And I've got a special thing for today. I do it once a month, sometimes more, but lately it's been about once a month. I'll explain a little bit more about that in a little bit, but wanted to first address question. Miss Jade had a question about fasting. I've answered the question before because I get it every now and then, but it's good to refresh every now and again. So it's let's see, fasting is a very peculiar thing. So we know Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and at the end of his fasting, which I don't believe he had drink or food, I wouldn't recommend that fast because you're not Jesus. If God leads you to do a fast like that, I mean, humanly speaking, the body can't go 40 days without water. But God can do supernatural things, so I wouldn't deter you from following what God would have you do, but I wouldn't recommend 40 days and 40 nights of not eating or drinking. You can make it 40 days without eating food, but good luck. When I was in prison, and you're not supposed to fast and talk about it, you're not supposed to pray openly so you can get credit and stuff like that. So what I would say is just be careful, be responsible. Don't be foolish. It's an outward display, symbolic gesture towards God. Keep it that way. Got some American muscle over there. Although the new muscles aren't as good as the old ones, I have to say. And looks like we might have somebody fishing at the spot, so I'll go to my special place. So I haven't been to the special place in a while. But yeah, so fasting, I don't say this to get any credit, but just to explain. When I was in prison, I used to fast frequently. I made it more than 40 days, but not completely without food or drink. It was funny, but they give you meal trays in there. They just call them trays. Hey, are you gonna eat your tray, right? Now this was before I fasted in prison too, but this was actually in county jail at the time I'm referring to. I think I made it into the 50s, the high 40s or the early to middle 50s days in a row. And I broke my fast when they had fish. That's one thing that I will break a fast for because I feel like fish is a symbol of God. And I could tell you the exact number of days. They had a 3-week food schedule, and anyways, they only had fish I think once a month, so I didn't break it every time we had fish, but a lot of people hated the fish, so I was kind of like, oh, I'll eat what the other people hate, I mean, I'm a weird guy of symbolic opposites, so anyways, when I was going that long, no, you can't keep anything secret in those places. I mean, you really can't. Close quarters with multiple people, blah blah blah. So keeping fasting a secret's hard to do. You get 3 meals a day. If you don't go pick up your tray, they don't mark you off. If they don't mark you off enough times, then they put you on suicide watch because they'll consider you on a hunger strike, and they're legally responsible and liable for you. So if you die from a hunger strike, they're on the hook and could get sued, and it's all about money. That's all they really care about. They don't care if you kill yourself from not eating. They just don't want to have to pay money for you dying before doing that. So kind of ridiculous really, but that's the way of the world these days. For the love of money is the root of all evil. And anyways, I got to the point to where I would let God lead me and use an example of who was in greater need. Some people didn't have money and get to go to commissary. Some people had more than they needed but preyed off of others. It's a really weird place, right? So without going into a whole lot more detail, um, if I saw someone who was willing to come to Bible study or the prayer call consistently, then I would put them ahead of the line for getting my tray. I gave away 3 meals a day, and you don't do that for very long without people noticing, right? So people would ask me if I was going to eat that, you know, I would say I'm still thinking about it, right? Because that's not technically lying. I was thinking about eating it, but I knew I wouldn't. But the people who always ask are the ones who don't deserve. The ones who don't ask are the ones that need it, right? So it's really weird, but I like God, and He worked in some very mysterious ways to make peace offerings with people who would have been my enemies. Or He used those opportunities to show people like I was giving out of the kindness of my heart, not for return. Because in there, your food tray, if you don't make money or have a hustle, that's what they call it, then your food is the only thing you have of any value that you can trade to other people and get something in return. Everything is like the barter system in there. So if you have a free meal tray you're not going to eat, you could turn that into something better that you could use. So by giving it away for free, that's not a normal thing in that place, especially to people who no one else would even talk to. I mean, it was a really odd experience, but it was cool. By the time word got out and everybody knew I was fasting, then it was like the wolves came out and they smelled blood, like sharks circling around, you know, some bleeding carcass. Everybody wanted to come get a bite. Nobody likes the food, but everybody wants an extra tray. It's kind of funny. Oh, the irony and the double standards. But long story longer, they started taking bets to see what day I would fall out, like pass out from not eating. Now, I would eat one bowl of ramen noodle soup after the midnight hour usually. Between midnight and 4 in the morning, I would have a bowl of soup, and coffee was the thing I didn't give up. So, but getting back to answering the question, you know, am I special because I fasted for that long? No, not really. You know, do you have to fast that long? No, not really. And you could fast one day if you wanted to. You could fast 7 days if you wanted to. You could fast 21 days if you want to. It's between you and God, really. There's no set, from what I could gather. I did a long study about fasting when I was in there, and I couldn't find any set formula for how to fast. I've heard or been told that there's 4 different ways or kinds of fasting, and well, there's the 40 days and 40 nights without anything, and only Jesus could do that, or God, you know, someone God specified, hey, you need to do this. Other than that, you know, some people don't eat, you know, like Ramadan for the Muslims, they don't eat while the sun's out for a whole month, which I think that's actually kind of cool. So that's another type of fast that is biblically precedented, is you don't eat. You eat, if you're going to eat, you eat before the sun's up and after the sun's down. So that's important. Sometimes you could do it like Lent, which I'm not Catholic, I don't believe in the Lent holiday or anything like that, but the sentiment behind it, the symbolism, is what are you going to give up for Lent, you know? And that's a type of fasting. If you want to give up, let's see, if you want to give up sweets, and you can give up sweets. If you have an addiction, cigarettes, you know, give up your cigarettes for a week or however long, you know, 48 hours if you can make it. It could literally be anything. Do you watch too much TV? Now, yeah, you go to work, you work hard, it's time to relax and kick back when you get home. Have a beer, watch some TV, whatever it is. Well, if you watch too much TV, then you can sacrifice that TV for a while as a symbol to God to show your commitment. Okay, sorry. this is the place I come. I consider it sanctified. I consider it holy ground when I come over to this spot over there. So I take my socks and shoes off. Maybe call me crazy or whatever, but there's lots of thorns and thistles and snakes, and I think I got a couple ticks last time I was over here. But yeah, so let me finish fasting before I talk about this stuff. It said the real feel today was 44 degrees Celsius. I don't even remember what that is in Fahrenheit. It was over 100 and something degrees. So yeah, fasting in a Lent style could just be giving up something that you overindulge in, or something that's a luxury, something that's a pleasure. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing in your life, but if it's something that you could remove. You know, for us to live in first world, we always talk about our issues and it's like, oh, first world problems, right? There's places in this world that would consider some of our problems like blessings. So I look at some of the things that we complain about in America in particular, and it makes me sick to my stomach to listen to some of these whiny, oh, I almost said some bad things. Just whiners, you know, seeing people whine about things when they actually have it really damn good. And if you've had a hard life, seeing someone who hasn't had it that hard complain, really, it's like a slap in the face. Now, if you're from a third world country and you look at people like us whining about the things we whine about, I would be very belligerently disappointed, if that's even a way you can put those words together. But I can only imagine if people feel that way, how much more does God say, oh, look at what I've blessed you with and how you squander it, and then you want to whine once you squander your own blessings, or when you don't appreciate what you have. Geez, imagine that. So giving something up might not be a problem or an issue, but if it's something that you can do without, maybe for a time, do without it and see what it's like. Having been to prison and having everything that you know and love taken away from you, your freedom, your liberty, your time, everything, to the point where you literally don't even have clothes on your back that are yours. You've always heard that saying, oh, everything, I've given everything but the clothes on my back, right? Well, in there, you don't even have the clothes on the back that are yours. They're somebody else's. They belong to the state. So I think about these things in the sense to where, and when I was in the military, same thing. You know, you literally get stripped of everything, even your own personality to a degree. You get reprogrammed. When you start to put these things together, I think it's pretty important to appreciate what you have, and truly, until you have everything that you know taken away from you, you don't appreciate it. You might think you do, but do without it for a while and see how much more you appreciate it. Then you can get serious about it, you know? And you'll realize how much excess there is in your life once you start to take things less for granted. So, dude, so this, maybe it flooded up high, but this log has moved like almost 2 feet that way, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. So, alright, so fasting, right? You can do a keyword search and you can look up fasting in the Bible if you want to. Jesus says only some unclean spirits or demons or whatever you want to call it, some of them can only be cast out through prayer and fasting, which means that there's some preparation that's involved with getting right to be able to wield the authority of the power of Christ. So do a keyword search if you want to. Look up fasting and just read all the examples of fasting. And you'll see that it's only at specific times. It's very specific to a need. Usually it's a very overt symbol of a personal relationship with God, and it's a personal commitment that one makes between themselves and God. So I would say pray about it, see what God puts on your heart, and whatever you feel heavy on your heart that you need to get rid of, or at least do without for a time. The easiest one I could recommend is You know, if you're gonna eat, eat before the sun comes up, which means you're gonna have to get your ass up early if you want to eat that day. If it's not worth getting up for, then you don't need it. That's how I look at it. And if you get up late and you miss the opportunity, oh well, so sad. If you can make it, which you should be able to. I mean, there's people who go freaking weeks without eating in this world, and here we get pissy if we don't have 5 meals a day. You know, oh, I get in a bad mood. I need a Snickers. I'm not going anywhere for a while. So you're not the same when you're hungry. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, they say girls are really bad about when they get attitudes when they're hungry or whiny or whatever. I've seen dudes that are worse than some of the worst girls I've ever seen with that issue. I worked with some guys that were like, oh man, what time is it? Time for lunch yet? Oh, I don't know. It's funny to me. Uh, it's not funny, but it is. Like, to know that somebody's so centered around their stomach and putting food in it. And some of these people aren't healthy people. It's a little different if you know, splurge here and there or indulge a little here and there. That's one thing, but, and I'm not saying it's bad to live for food. The more you get things out of your life, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, these things, once you remove these things out of your life, then you'll start to see how important food is. You know, you can skip food sometimes. I mean, when I was in school back in the day, I used to save my lunch money so I could buy cigarettes. I would skip lunch for days just to get one pack. Get it, man. So, I guess all in all, the main thing that I'm trying to say is that if it's ruling you, who's in control? Are you in control, or is your body in control? Do you tell your body what it does, or does your body tell you what you do? And that's the important thing to realize, is that if you're ruled by your appetites and not just food, then you're not in control. And you should be having dominion over your own body. I mean, you're part of God's creation, and if God created you to have dominion over the animals, over the earth, to be a good steward, you should have dominion over your own body. And that's a hard thing to come to terms with, I would say. The other things are rooted in the spirit too. I also believe that. So if you have spiritual issues manifest physically, so if you're having physical problems or physical issues, it might not be a physical root cause. The things that can be observed will be physical, and the things that can be addressed will be physical, but until you deal with the roots, it's just like mowing the grass. If you mow over a weed, it's going to keep coming back a million times till you pluck it out by the root. Same thing spiritually, same thing physically, same thing medically. I mean, for a lot of medical conditions. So, making sure I get everything, because this is a pretty serious topic, but if you remove the excesses of overindulgences out of your life, then you'll start to realize that food is important, and family centers around food. Cooking is an important endeavor, and it's an art in itself. And in the old days, you used to have to work really hard to make and process food, to make a meal with that food, and preserving the food so it can last a long term. All those things were important, and we don't value those things anymore. For the most part, most of the world does not anymore. I was talking to somebody special about bread recently, and it was like, oh, well, I don't make my own dough. Okay, I don't know anybody that makes their own dough, unless it's a project, and that's a decision they made. Who makes their own bread anymore? You know, my grandma made the best bread I've ever had before. It's from scratch. I've been trying to get her to make it ever since, and it's like 10 years ago, you know. Back in the old days, though, they made everything. People were happy just to get some grain, man. Oh, if you gave somebody a bag of grain today, what would they do with it? A bag of rice might be the only thing anybody knows how to do anything with these days, you know, but... So yeah, just value what you have. If you have extra, give it away. Not all the time. It's good to have extra sometimes to store it for later. I mean, to be prepared is a good thing, but to be over-prepared is almost gluttonous to an extent. There's always somebody less fortunate than you. If you think you've had it bad, there's always someone that's had it worse. And that's an important lesson in life to learn. No matter how far off the path you've gotten, it's not so far that God can't bring you back. You're never too far away from God's forgiveness or His love, unconditional. There's nothing in your life you've ever chosen to do that was so horrible that God can't fix it. Or if He can't or won't fix it, then He can turn it to the greater good for those that love Him. So let God be good all the time, and all the time we already know God's good. We're not, but I was talking to somebody else. I tried to catch up on comments today, and I saw some really cool ones. I'm sorry I missed. Tried to respond as many as possible. Went back over a week, and man, it's hard. It's hard to keep up, but do the best I can. But she was saying that, well, we've been talking about strange women. Strange women are prostitutes, okay? You might have been a little loose as a lady, on your morals or your values, or you might have been a little promiscuous back in your past, or maybe last week, I don't know. Um, that's not the same as being a strange woman from what the scripture's talking about in Proverbs. A harlot, a prostitute, a strange woman, a lady of the night, all these things. I mean, if you're intentionally going out and justifying just having casual sex, or if you don't care about the other person or their emotions or their feelings and you just want to bang them, I mean, that's not good. If you can acknowledge that and admit that, doesn't matter if you have 10 kids by 10 different babies' daddies, or if you're a baby daddy with 10 different kids from 10 different baby mamas. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but I'm just saying, like, if you can acknowledge this, and if you can identify it as a clear problem, um, that's the problem. That's the first step in the right direction, because you've just humbled yourself to not justifying the sin or the flesh. You've just said, yeah, it's an issue. It's a problem. It needs to be addressed. Well, 10 kids later, it's kind of hard to address that, right? And God had a plan and a purpose for each one of those kids, right? And now it's a very complex web of, family, but I'm sure there's crazier instances in scriptures than that. Yeah, get the mountain bikers hitting the riverbed or the creek bed. You see those holes right there? There's beavers that live in there. I don't know if they're there now still, but there was water above those holes not too long ago. So okay, so anyways, yeah, that's that. And I haven't been the most chaste person in my life. I haven't been the most promiscuous either. But sexual immorality is a hard thing to deal with. We are human beings. God gave us sex drives. We have desires of the flesh, but we also have spiritual and emotional, mental desires and needs. How we meet those needs, or what we're willing to do to get those needs met, that's when we compromise our morals and our values. So I'll save most of this for another time, but it's something I wanted to touch on because I saw guilt, shame, accountability, responsibility, and dang, buddy, it's going crazy. I get a lot of guilt, and another comment. I mean, I saw 3, 4, 5 comments that all kind of strung together for a theme to me, and girls that have a past, and maybe single moms, for whatever reasons that they're single. It's a hard life, and when you have kids, you're committed to those kids, and it doesn't matter what the dad ever did. The kids are important, and it can be, I don't know. It's just life can be complicated, and if it was easy, it wouldn't be as rich with experience, and all those experiences have a purpose. Whatever we've done wrong can be something that can be used for right. I'm not saying do something wrong to bring about something right, but I'm just saying for you ladies and for the guys, right? Same, it's for everybody. It's the same message, but obviously it's a little more specific in some areas towards one gender or the other. But wherever you've been and whatever you've done might be something that people can relate to. And if people can relate to it, then you can be persuasive and you can be helpful in getting people out of those lifestyles. Or to at least begin to think about those lifestyles might not be right or good. Now, we're all, keep saying it's a process. We're all in the process of life. And in that process, it's not an easy one. So the quicker we can acknowledge that and receive that, then the quicker we can get the guilt monkey off our back. Because that's what the devil will use. He will shame you. Shame, you know. Yeah, we're ashamed of some of the things we've done, but we wouldn't be who we are right now if it wasn't for the things that we did. Oh, could we have made better choices? Yes. Should we have? Yes. But all we can do now is learn from it, so we're not doomed to repeat it, and make better decisions from this moment forward. That's it. Wow. Okay, so that's awesome. Crazy. Okay, so I just opened the devotional book, 26 minutes in, and wow. Okay, so Satan hindered us. We were just talking about that. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 18. Since the first hour in which goodness came into conflict with evil, it has never ceased to be true in spiritual experience that Satan hinders us. From all points of the compass, all along the line of battle, in the vanguard and in the rear. The vanguard's the front of an army train, and the rear is obviously the back. At the dawn of day and in the midnight hour, Satan hinders us. If you don't know what hinder is, it's like hold you back or slow you down, get in your way, etc. If we toil in the field, he seeks to break the plowshare. Okay? If you're trying to plow the field and your plowshare breaks, well, good luck plowing it. You're going to have to get hand tools, and that's a lot harder than having a beast of burden. Then you get to be the beast of burden. So if we build the wall, he labors to cast down the stones. If we would serve God in suffering or in conflict, everywhere Satan hinders us. He hinders us when we are first coming to Jesus Christ. Okay. Fierce conflicts we had with Satan when we first looked to the cross and lived. Now that we're saved, he endeavors to hinder the completeness of our personal character. Man, you can't make this stuff up. That's so crazy. I can't believe we were just talking about these things. So you may be congratulating yourself, I have hitherto walked consistently. No man can challenge my integrity. Okay, you can get bold. Bold. You can get bold and full of yourself. You can give yourself the pat on the back. But beware of boasting, for your virtue will yet be tried. So yeah, maybe no man or no woman can hold you down or slow you down or hold you back or whatever. But Satan can, and he will hinder you. Okay. Satan will direct his engines against that very virtue. Your fortitude, your perseverance, your confidence. Okay. For that very virtue for which you are most famous, whatever you're the best at, Satan can hinder that, or he'll attack you at your strength or in your weaknesses. If you have been hitherto a firm believer, your faith will ere long be attacked. Wow. If you have been hitherto, I think it was Eric that mentioned hitherto, a firm believer, your faith will ere long be attacked. If you have been meek as Moses, expect to be tempted to speak unadvisedly with your lips. The birds will peck at your ripest fruit, and the wild boar will dash his tusks at your choicest vines. Satan is sure to hinder us when we are earnest in prayer. He checks our importunity. Okay, so he checks our importunity and weakness and weakens our faith in order that, if possible, we may be that we may miss the blessing. Oh wow. Okay, so he, talking about the devil, checks our importunity and weakens our faith in order that, if possible, we may miss the blessing. Nor is Satan less vigilant in obstructing Christian effort. There was never a revival of religion without a revival of his opposition. As soon as Ezra and Nehemiah began to labor, Sanballat and Tobiah are stirred up to hinder them. What then? We are not alarmed because Satan hinders us, for it is a proof that we are on the Lord's side, and are doing the Lord's work, and in his strength we shall win the victory and triumph over our adversary. Wow. And sometimes it takes prayer and fasting to do that. So, what an awesome way this message came together. That's so cool. Okay, so we'll read a psalm after I do this burnt. I do a burnt offering once a month. It's a free will offering. It's not for atonement. It's not for remission of sin. It's not anything like that. And there's a lot of traditionalists, or maybe there's some kind of ism or ite or whatever. I'm not about labels. Y'all know that. But in the Old Testament, one of the only offerings we can give now is a free will offering. Usually it was an animal that was spotless, without blemish, clean, all those things. Well, I don't have any animals I sacrifice, and the lamb was slain once and for all, so we don't need to do living sacrifices. So what I do, free will offering, is I try to burn old things of idolatrous nature, right? So if it was something that was not glorifying God, if it was something that at one point I put above God in my attention or in my behavior, then that's something that I would, if I respected something too much. So just to get on with it, because I have other videos where I explain this in a full length example. Let me see. This is what I do once a month, is I get the calendar. This is H.R. Geiger, or Geiger, however you want to say it. He passed away recently, but I heard he was a member of the OTO, a wing of that. I'm not sure 100%. He's one of the best artists I've ever seen. But here's a Baphomet goat skull with the 12 on the forehead that's tied up and bound. Here is an arm of Jesus, which he has other paintings where the crucifix, it is Jesus' arm and hand crucified. This has a tap on the vein, putting it into a cauldron or a bowl of black magic with either more Baphomets or bunnies, which are fertility symbols. But that bowl is a blood offering sacrifice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This might be a 7 to 9 pointed star that it's all sitting on. It's hard to tell, but that is actually 2 eyes and another goat head with 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 horns. I mean, you'd have to see his other artwork to get some of this, but there's a pitchfork with the sun, and inside he has a lot of sexually suggestive things. I mean, this could be Kabbalistic and the spinal column, but these are all hangman nooses or hangman poles. There's a name for them, I don't remember, gallows, but those are literally bodies hanging. And this is stemming from where a shoulder would be, right? And then he has a lot of vaginal type imagery, a lot of, well, he's the guy who designed the aliens. They're coming out with, what is it? It's not Alien Covenant, but Prometheus, right? Part 2, or Alien Covenant. Maybe it is Alien, I don't know. They're merging Prometheus, which is kind of a prequel to the Alien series, and they're coming out with new Alien movies, Alien versus Predator, blah blah blah. He's the guy who designed the creature. But the creature is basically the xenomorph. It's a giant penis head. Sorry to tell you guys this. This is mildly disturbing. You got the cone, which, you could make that an allusion to the pineal gland, but it looks like pine cones, which are also penises. I mean, here's a dude with condoms for horns. This isn't my favorite piece of art that he's done by any means, but Just one last. I mean, you can't see it because I can't focus, but there's a building with the pyramid at the top, and there's an all-seeing eye in the pyramid. And this guy is whatever. So here is art is science made clear. I think Pump Excursion 3 might be the name of the artwork. Either it's this one or the one we burned last month. But yeah, so sometimes on here it'll have interesting things. This calendar's from the year 2000, 2000, and it was worth a lot of money till I started tearing it up and burning it. So Ray Bradbury's birthday on the 22nd, H.P. Lovecraft's birthday on the 20th, Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. I mean, this guy's straight up evil. Straight up. So I used to admire his skills and his art, and that was before I knew a whole bunch of the esoterics and the occultism and the deviltry and the satanism and all that. I mean, these guys are straight up Luciferians. Like, not just devil worshippers that don't know what they're doing, they're like straight up Luciferians. But yeah, here's last month's little piece, and we'll get that one too. I actually brought a candle this time so we could get it. Now, my artwork, I usually bring a piece of my artwork too, so I mean, I'm not a sun worshiper, but that sun always gave me the creeps. And the moon, the falling star, which is actually a half of a yin-yang inside there. And the rose. I drew this for somebody a long time ago. And I don't like it. There's something about it that's always creeped me out. Has always creeped me out. Sometimes my art wasn't really mine. You know, so whatever. So this is my free will offering. This is what I offer willingly and freely to God to take it away from me, to get it out of my life, and to show a commitment and a dedication to Him, and a willingness to want to serve Him, not my flesh or my wants or desires, or not to lift anything up. Those were strongholds for me. It's just art, you know, no big deal. It's just a picture that you draw, you know. But if you talk to the Luciferians, they'll tell you that a lot of this artwork, or the actual process of art, is it's magic, creation, using the imagination, is what modern day wizards tell you magic is. What is magic? Well, it's the power to create, the power to destroy. And I think I left my lighter at home. That makes me very unhappy. Well, it looks like y'all might miss out on the burn tonight. I will have to go home and get my lighter and come back. Dang, man, I can't believe that. Oh well. Sometimes I do things off camera, sometimes I do them on the camera. But that's just weird to me. I could have swore I brought it. I could have swore. Alright, well, we'll get into the psalm, and this isn't going anywhere, right? So I can at least leave my candle. Okay. It's so hot. Alright, so we'll do the psalm and we'll do prayer. Now, I have, let's see, Psalm 37 I want to do, but I'm ripped, the donkeys, right? I can't remember if it's Cookie the horse or the donkeys, but they ate this page. So, I'm going to have to skip. Verse 1 says, "Fret not thyself because of something, neither be you envious, something, workers envious of the workers of iniquity," I would guess. Verse 2, "For they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. so shall you dwell in the land, and verily you shall be fed. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who brings wicked devices to pass. So don't worry about those that are coming up doing it the wrong way. Keep doing it the right way and God's way, and God will get the last laugh, and so will you. You'll get the reward of that. So skipping verses 8 through 12, and going to verse 12 says, the wicked plots against the just, and gnashes upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he sees that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow. Okay, when you bend your bow is when you pull the string back with an arrow notched. So they're taking aim, right? So when you draw out your sword, you don't pull your sword out unless you plan on using it. Same with a gun or a weapon. To cast down the poor and the needy, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. The sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. And a bow, once it's broken, it doesn't shoot any more arrows, okay? A little that a righteous man has is better than the riches of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholds the righteous. The Lord knows the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume into smoke. They shall consume. Into smoke they shall consume away. The wicked borrows and pays not again, but the righteous shows mercy and gives. For such as be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they that be cursed of him shall be cut off. Okay, remember a couple days ago I said I believe God's the only one that can actually curse. And right here it's saying that if God blesses you, you'll inherit the earth. If God curses you, you'll be cut off. Now, verses 23 and 24, these are important, so I already have them blocked off. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Same for a woman as well. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. Okay, remember the other scripture says nobody can take you out of the hand of God once he holds you in there? You can't even take yourself out of that hand. Unless you blaspheme the Holy Spirit, that's almost impossible to clearly define. So most people would argue that if you can blaspheme the Holy Spirit, you never had salvation to begin with. So I wouldn't worry about the one sin that you can't be forgiven for. I'd worry about all the ones that you can be forgiven for, and not to take the forgiveness for granted. But the Lord will uphold you with his hand. Now this is the cool one. And this is blocked off on the 13th. 2013 on 8/19. So what's the date today? 8/7? That's crazy. So in the same month, 3 years ago, this was blocked off. So here we are doing it again. I have been young, and now am old. Yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. He is ever merciful, and lends, and his seed is blessed. Depart from evil and do good, and dwell forevermore. For the Lord loves judgment, and forsakes not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land, and dwell therein forever. The mouth of the righteous speaks wisdom, and his tongue talks of judgment. The law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. The wicked watches the righteous, and seeks to slay him. The Lord will not leave him in his hand, nor condemn him when he is judged. Wait on the Lord and keep his way, and he shall exalt you to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, you shall see it. I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yes, I sought him, but he could not be found. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright. For the end of that man is peace, but the transgression shall be destroyed together. But the transgressors shall be destroyed together. The end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the salvation of the righteous is of the Lord. He is their strength in the time of trouble. And the Lord shall help them and deliver them. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them, because they trust in him. Heavenly Father, we just pray to you that you say in your word, because we trust in you, that you will deliver us from the wicked, and that you will help those, and that you will deliver us. So let us have our strength in you, and in our time of trouble, let us lean on the salvation and lean on your righteousness, God, because we know it's of you. Please let those transgressors all be dealt with justice, and swift justice at that. And let us find the ends of that man, which is the perfect man in Jesus Christ, which we know the end of his ways are peace. We seek that peace, and we seek that tranquility in our lives day to day. And we seek to walk with you, God. And so as you are in your majesty and in your power, we just ask for you to not withhold that majestic power. We ask for you to exert that will that you have, that we may inherit the earth, that you will be exalted, and that the wicked shall be cut off. God, we're being attacked on all sides, from our food, our drink, our lifestyles, our governments, the people who are supposed to be protecting us. God, let us not put our faith in people or places or things. Let us put our faith only in you. God, we know that we have enemies working against us, but let us understand that we are our own worst enemy. And we just ask for you to have mercy on our souls and on our flesh. God, help to crucify this flesh, that we may take up our cross. And let us die daily, seeking you and your righteousness. Let us follow your will, and let us depart from evil and do good, and dwell forevermore in your goodness. And let us love judgment because you love judgment. Let us ask for you to judge our hearts and to weigh us and find what have. We want to be found lacking, God, so that way we can be corrected. And you love us to correct us. Let us have that conviction, but let us not be held down under the thumb of oppression, of our own guilt or our own shame. Let us have mercy on ourselves, but let us hold ourselves accountable and be responsible to you, Father. Let us find the forgiveness in ourselves that you've given us through Jesus Christ. And let us forgive others as we have hard times to let go of grudges, or that we have hard times of letting go of wrongdoings that have been perpetrated against us by not even our enemies, but by our family or our friends or our closest people. Let us forgive the transgressors, and we know that in that sense and fashion, God, that you loved us when we were unlovable. Let us forgive those who sin against us, and let us forgive those who sin against you, that we can ask for your mercy to come into their lives and the power of the Holy Spirit to begin to work on their hearts and soften their hearts. Maybe if we intercede on their behalf, God, that they can be humbled to a degree without even knowing that there was somebody praying or somebody helping, or that there was something supernatural going on that was helping to influence or make a more conducive environment. Whatever it is, God, we know that everything is brought to a greater good for those that love you, and we love you. So help bring the greater good for those that are in our lives, those that you bring to cross our paths, and those that are only meant to be in it for a short time. We just pray that all of your will is done to glorify your holy name. And in Jesus Christ's name and authority and power, we pray. Amen. Alright, guys. I love y'all. I'll see y'all in the morning. Have a good one.